We'll get started in just a moment here. We'll get started in just a moment here. Good evening, everyone. My name is JD Wyzolek, and I am the founder of azcollegeplanning.com. And if you, what I'm going to cover tonight is going to be more on a general nature. If you want to talk about your family specific situation, at the end of the presentation, I will provide an opportunity for you to schedule a free, no obligation consultation. If you don't want that, then just ignore it. If you would like that, then click on the link or send me an email, please. I like to call this talk, You Don't Know What You Don't Know About College, but What You Really Need to Know About College, or How to Not Go Broke Paying for College. It all starts with the ranking system. And you've probably heard, oh, this college is ranked number one in biology, and this college is ranked number 17 in engineering, et cetera, et cetera. The college ranking system is very important to colleges, and let's explore why. So have you asked yourself, why would a college give out any scholarships? Is it because they're kind and generous, or is it because they want or need a specific student? Colleges ask this question of every applicant, and that question is, how will this student impact our rankings? Positive, neutral, or negative? If it's negative, they're just going to reject the student and move on. If it's neutral, maybe they'll admit the student and maybe they'll give them a teaser scholarship or so. But if it's positive, if they look at a student and they're like, this student's going to make a positive impact on our rankings, then they're going to bend over backwards and try and recruit that student and offer incentives to that student to choose to go to their college. And those incentives that we want are scholarships. So when a college identifies a student that they want, that will increase their rankings in one or more category. That college will do whatever they can to recruit that student. I love the rivalries that go on between certain colleges. ASU and U of A, UCLA and Berkeley are two examples of that. Whenever there is an upward trend in any category that's ranked, that attracts attention, and more attention means more applications and more application fees. So this last year, UCLA knocked Berkeley off the podium and became the #1 public national university. Because of that, UCLA had 149,900 students apply, and it costs $80 to apply. So when you do the math, 145,000 times $80, multiplied times $80, that's $1.6 million that was generated just in application fees. So again, colleges are looking at students and asking that question, will this student impact our rankings positive? Let's recruit that student. Let's give them a scholarship because they know they're going to make up the money on the back end through things like um, uh, application fees. College is big business. Now that you know this, you can position yourself to win. Because application fees bring in tens of millions of dollars, colleges will do anything to manipulate their rankings. Anything, including lying. If you just go on to Google and you type in colleges that lie about rankings, you'll find dozens and dozens of articles on that. Because the bottom line is money. Here's a story about Lynn. When Lynn and her dad came into the office for the free consultation, and when you come into the free consultation as well, I'm going to ask the same question that I asked Lynn and her dad, and that is, are there any colleges that you're thinking about? Do you have any dream schools? And Lynn's dad said she's going to NAU because that's all I can afford. His thought process was in-state colleges are cheaper than out-of-state or private colleges. Well, Lynn and her dad hired us to help her with her essays, her applications. We showed her how to properly market herself to those colleges, and we helped her identify colleges that we suggested that she would stand out, where she had a higher probability of admission and a higher probability of scholarships. I don't remember how many colleges she applied to. I think it was 7 or 8. And of those colleges, she was admitted to 5 of them. And then for one reason or another, 2 of the colleges fell off the wayside. And it really came down to these 3 colleges. And it was Willamette University in Oregon, Whitman College in Washington State, and NAU in Arizona. Well, the first college that admitted her was Willamette University in Oregon, and they gave her a $25,500 scholarship per year. And Dad's net cost was $20,000. Lynn was on cloud 9 for days. Dad, not quite so much. We still got a pretty big gap there. Then the next college that admitted her was NAU. And after scholarships and everything else, Dad's net cost for Lynn to attend NAU was $10,650. Then the last college that admitted her was Whitman College. And Whitman offered her $40,750 in scholarships per year. And Dad's net cost was $5,000. What's super awesome about this award letter, this award offering, is that it included 2 study abroads. She did one in Japan and one in Peru. Question is, why did they give her this amazing scholarship package? Why did that college give her an amazing scholarship package? It's because they needed her, and she had a positive impact on one or more categories that college valued that were ranked. Yes, she had good grades and had some decent test scores. However, one category was girl going into a mostly male-dominated major. Don't ask me which one it was. I don't remember. Another category that this college valued was geographic diversity. So now Whitman can go back to the ranking publications and say, we have students from all over the country, West Coast, East Coast, even Arizona. So they can boast about having geographic diversity. And now I'm happy to report it's Dr. Lynn. She's finished her doctoral degree and all that. Super excited for her future. An important question to ask and find out is, what does that college value? Then do that. So in the case study of Lynn, we instructed her with which activities she should focus on, what colleges to apply to, how to properly showcase herself to colleges through demonstrated interest, and what to write in her essays, and how to follow up. She did all of those things that the college valued, and the result was amazing. And I have literally hundreds more of examples. We're going to learn several acronyms today. The first one we're going to learn is COA, cost of attendance. And cost of attendance, COA, includes everything. We want to know what the all in buy-in amount is. And that includes tuition, fees, books, uh, student ID card, parking pass, meal plan, dorm, all of that. What is that total cost? We want to know what that is first and then go from there. So in the case of Arizona, we've got ASU, and ASU's sticker price is $37,354 for 1 year. Now, if you're looking at any of the other in-state colleges in Arizona, um, NAU or U of A, they have similar costs. NAU is a little bit cheaper, but it's negligible, only by about $1,000 difference. If you haven't visited colleges, please go visit some colleges. Go visit if you live in Maricopa County area, then go visit these three schools: ASU, Grand Canyon University, and Arizona Christian University. If you live in a different county or a different city or state, go visit some colleges that are within a 50 or maybe a 75-mile radius of your home. The reason why I'm asking you to do that is because it's not a big time or money commitment to go and visit those colleges that are within a radius of your home. Maybe an hour drive, maybe 40-minute drive, and then a couple hours on the tour. So not a big time or money commitment. You don't have to get a hotel. You don't have to jump on an airplane or any of that stuff. And why I'm encouraging you to go visit these three schools in Maricopa County is because there are three very different types of colleges. We've got ASU, which is a large public school. We've got Grand Canyon University, which is a mid-sized private college. And then we've got Arizona Christian University, which is a small college. And when you visit Arizona Christian University, look at it through two lenses. The first lens to look at it is the size lens. It's about 1,000 students, so it's a pretty small school. The second lens to look at it is the religious lens. It is affiliated with a Christian church, and they do require you to do some type of religious things. Again, I'm asking you to go and visit these colleges because it's not a big time or money commitment. So that when you do go out of state or you go to the other side of the coast and visit some colleges in those areas, now you've got something that you can weigh, balance, compare, and contrast. So when you visit any college, if you don't walk away with the impression of, wow, that school's amazing, they did a bad job. That's their job, is to sell you on their school. And if you visit three or more colleges, you'll start to see the similarities between all those colleges, and you can cross off the similarities and really focus on the unique intricacies of each of the colleges and each campus. I mentioned that ASU's sticker price is about $37,000. If you're looking at the honors colleges, so U of A honors, NAU honors, or ASU Barrett honors college, you can add some dollars on top of that. Now we're looking at about $39,000, $40,000 for the honors programs. One of the categories that's ranked that I think is the most ridiculous, one of the most ridiculous, is most expensive college. And Harvey Mudd College in Los Angeles is ranked as one of the most expensive colleges at $98,984 per year. NYU is hovering at $96,900 per year. And UCLA out-of-state cost is $80,739 for 1 year. If you really want to scare yourself, do this. Go to the college's website and in the search bar, type in cost of attendance. It'll bring you to that page. Sometimes they have it all added for you. Sometimes you have to pull out your calculator and add those together. Add all those numbers together. Then this is how you're going to scare yourself. Take that number and then multiply it times 4 years, and then multiply it again times the number of kids you got, 2 kids, 3 kids, etc. And that's enough to give anybody a coronary right there. And have you asked yourself, how in the world are we going to be able to afford it? And I've talked to literally hundreds of families, and these are some strategies as ways to pay for college that they've told me. And you might be thinking about these things as well. And always the first one that comes up is private scholarships. So let's put a definition on what private scholarship is. That is a scholarship that your student applies for and wins. If your student did not apply for that scholarship and your student gets an email or a letter and they did not apply for that, and they told them that they won, it's a scam. Especially if that letter or email says, mail us $100 and we'll tell you which scholarship you've won. That is absolutely a scam. So first off, they have to apply for that scholarship. And you probably heard about some of these scholarships, the Ronald McDonald Scholarship or the Coca-Cola Scholarship. There's literally hundreds, if not thousands of these private scholarships that are available. And with that, if your student wins that scholarship, it's portable. They could take it over to U of A. They could take it over to San Diego State. They could take it over to Texas A&M. It's portable that way. Versus if your student won the Lumberjack Scholarship at NAU, that is only usable if your student attends NAU. Now, of the $135 billion of aid that's available, less than 2% of that consists of the private scholarships. I want to go after where the big money is, and the big money is going to be in these three categories. Write this one down. State funds. I want to go after and maximize all the state funds that are available. The second category is federal funds. I want to maximize all the federal funds that we can get. And then the big kahuna of the three is the college endowment funds. Some colleges are rich and other colleges are just flat uber rich. Harvard claims the #1 spot as being the wealthiest college with over $50 billion in their endowment. The interest that the endowment makes for Harvard's $50 billion is enough to give every student that attends Harvard a full ride. Does Harvard do that? Absolutely not. The next strategy as a way to pay for college that parents have told me is my kid's an athlete. My kid's getting an athletic scholarship. And I'm sorry to tell you this, that unless your student is the next NFL, NBA, or the next Olympian, the likelihood of getting a full athletic ride, probably not going to happen. If you look on the NCAA's website, the average men's baseball scholarship is $13,000, way short of the total cost of attendance. Now, some of those scholarships are split between students. So that 13,000 may be split between 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 students. Again, way short of the total cost of attendance. Another strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is we've saved some money. And I read a statistic that the average family has saved $10,000 for college. If you save more than this or this amount, then God bless you, you're better than the average. But how are we going to make 10 grand go where 100 or 400,000 should? And the other thing that we need to think about is the money that you did save for college. How does the financial aid system look at it? And there are 3 buckets of money. The first bucket of money is money that is listed in the student's name, and that gets assessed at the highest percentage, about 20 to 25%. And then there's a second bucket of money, that's money that is listed in the parent's name, and that gets assessed at a lower percentage at about 6%. So sometimes just by rolling over who the owner is, no, the student's not the owner, the parent is the owner of this financial product, we might be able to qualify for more aid. And then there's a third bucket, and that third bucket has an umbrella over it, and that umbrella is the retirement system. Anything that is parked in a retirement account is not assessed in the financial aid formula. So again, by moving over who the owner is from student to parent or from one product to a different product, we might be able to qualify for more aid. Here's my disclaimer. Before you move money around or any of that stuff, you need to know what the ramifications are, both positive and negative. Sometimes it's smart to move money around, sometimes not. Another strategy that parents have told me is we're going to do a payment plan. There are more colleges today that are offering payment plans. The last time I looked at La Sierra University in Riverside, California, they had a payment plan and it was $75 a month on top of whatever the payment was. That was their fee to be enrolled in that. And then we've another strategy the parents have told me is a way to pay for college is we're going to borrow the money through loans. And there's a loan called the PLUS loan, PLUS, and that stands for Parent Loan of Undergraduate Students. And that is a federal loan. And theoretically, if your student is admitted to Stanford at $95,000 per year, and your student does not receive any scholarships or grants, Stanford will offer $5,500 in loans, and then the remaining amount will be offered to the parent in the form of a Parent Plus loan at $89,500. Please don't do that, by the way. That's a huge loan. That, again, that's for 1 year. And I'm happy. I want to tell you a story about another family. They came in for a free consultation and they wanted to know what the heck they were about to sign for. And they were showing me their award letter from this college in Colorado. And some colleges are really devious in their wording on the award letters because it said PLUS $25,000. And they were really excited. They thought that that was a scholarship. And I had to say, sorry, that is not a scholarship. That's a loan. Well, I'm happy to report they didn't go that route. She ended up going to a different college and she went to a private college. And Courtney, and you could go to my website, click on testimonials, and you can see this. Courtney graduated from a private college. She graduated 100% debt free, and parents did not take on any educational debt as well. That is exactly where we want our students to start their life without that excessive student loan baggage. Another strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is we're going to use the equity in our home. I won't go into details on that. You kind of know how that one works. And the last one is parents have told me they're going to liquidate their retirement accounts. Please do not do that because retirement accounts are for retirement and should be used for retirement and not for college. Please don't throw a college based out only on the sticker price. A lot of times families will look at a college and they'll go, oh, wow, this college is 85, 89, 95, maybe even $100,000 per year. And they're going, there's no way we can afford that. Please do not throw out a college based solely on the sticker price. Here's why. Because private colleges know that they must compete with in-state costs. And if a college really wants a certain student because they know that student will have a positive impact on their rankings, that college will make it feasible financially for your student to attend their college by offering scholarships. And I just showed the example with Lynn where it was less expensive for her to go to that private out-of-state college than it would have been for her to stay in-state. This is where we at AZ College Planning excel in showing students how to properly present themselves to the colleges so the college says, yes, we need the student and we need the student because the student will have a positive impact on our rankings, and we will guide the student with things to do, clubs to join, essays to write, show them how to properly market themselves and demonstrate interest to these colleges. So the end result is that college looks at your student and says, yes, we need your student. And we will incentivize it by offering scholarships. An important question to ask each of the colleges that your student is going to apply to is what is the average timeline for students to graduate from your college? How long is it going to take my kid to graduate from your college? Well, the average graduation timeline at a public college is, ready? 6 years. One, two, three, four, five, six. 6 years. And if you go to my website, azcollegeplanning.com, click on the college results button, you can find this information here. And we're looking at ASU, and the 6 year graduation rate for ASU is 66%. Why? Why is it taking these students so long to graduate? And graduate in 6 years instead of 4? Well, one reason is because a student applies and tries to get into a class, and that class is full. And they need that 100 level class before they can get into the 150 or the 200 level class. So that's one reason. And I have a strategy that we can talk about later on and how to get into those classes that are full. We'll talk about that later on. A student tries to get into a class. That's one reason. A second reason, and this is the most prevalent reason why it's taking students 6 years to graduate instead of 4, is because they flip-flop between majors. I think I'll try business. That sounds like an interesting major. Ooh, no, that's not what I thought. Architecture. Oh, yeah, that sounds fun. I like to draw. No, I don't want to do that. Oh, I think I'll try philosophy. Yeah, no, I'm back over here. I'm undeclared. Every time a student changes majors, that pushes the graduation window further and further. So one of the things that we do at AZ College Planning is we help students identify the major and the career they want to go into before they go to college, so that they don't end up being a 6 year statistic and they graduate in 4 years. How we do that is we plug your student into our award-winning career assessment tool. And that tool will ask questions. Do you like to do this? Do you like to do that? And how the student answers those questions will generate a list of occupations. Click on and save the occupation. It will generate a list of majors. Click on and save the major, and it will generate a list of colleges. And we will oversee that list of colleges and we'll make our recommendations. These are the colleges we think you should apply to because it has the major you want. You have a higher probability of admission getting into that college, and you fall in the upper third bracket of admitted students. And because of those things, you have a higher probability of scholarships. And we'll also show your student how to properly market and promote themselves to colleges, demonstrate interest, so that the end result is the college says, yes, we need your student because your student will make a positive impact on our rankings. And we're going to incentivize admission by giving you a scholarship. Here's my story. Yep, that's me. That's my senior picture. I remember walking into my high school guidance counselor's office, Miss Nuss. I walked in there. Hi, Miss Nuss. Hi, JD. How are you today? I'm fine. Sit down. I sat down and we talked for a couple seconds. And she says, JD, you are a good artist. You should be an art major. And I thought about it for all about 37 seconds after I left her. And that's how much time I spent with my guidance counselor. Not long at all. 5, 6, 7 minutes total. And no offense to any guidance counselors, I was overworked, overbooked. Those counselors are overworked and overbooked. And like I said, I went home and thought about for all of about 37 seconds. I thought artists don't make any money. I don't want to be a starving artist. I got to do something else. And what popped in my head was graphic design. I can do that. I'll do that. Yes. And all that transpired at the beginning of my senior year of high school, which really is kind of late to start on the process. I should start much earlier than that. At that time, at the beginning of my senior year in high school, after I met my guidance counselor and came up with graphic design, I was on the phone with a friend of mine who was a freshman at Biola University in Los Angeles. And I was talking to him and he says, JD, you got to come to this school. So awesome. We have the most amazing beach bonfire parties. Yeah, those parties were fun. And the girls here are super cute. I'm like, okay, dude, I'm liking that. What else? And I asked him the question, do they have a graphics department? And he says, yeah. And I said, dude, I'm in. And that's how much thought went into me picking my major, picking my career, picking my college, and all that stuff. What ended up happening, and I recommend this for your student, the positive side, not the negative side. What ended up happening is I ended up getting an internship at a graphics house in my junior year of college. And I thought, I don't want to do this the rest of my life and had to reset and stuff. I really wish I would have gotten that internship early on in my freshman year of college, or actually better yet, sometime in high school. So, AZ College Planning, yes, we can help. So let's move on to the two financial aid forms, the FAFSA form. And a lot of you are probably already familiar with the FAFSA form. There's a second form called the CSS profile. And there are some major differences between these two forms. The FAFSA form is a federal form, and the CSS profile is not a federal form. However, the CSS profile asks all the same questions that are on the federal form. And another major difference between the two is that the FAFSA is free to submit, hence the name, Free Application for Federal Student Aid. While the CSS profile, it's $25 to submit it for the first college and $16 for each additional school. So if your student applies to 2 colleges, it's going to be $41. If they apply to 3 colleges that require the CSS profile, it's going to be $57. The CSS profile is administered by College Board, collegeboard.org, and that is the same entity that creates the SAT test, APs, CLEP, and a few other things. Another major difference between the CSS profile and the FAFSA is that your primary home residence, the equity within your home is not counted on the FAFSA, where it can be counted on the CSS profile. Also, the CSS profile, colleges have the option of adding questions in the supplemental questions section. As an example, MIT asks, and MIT is one of the colleges that does require the CSS profile. In the supplemental questions section, MIT asks your student this question: what is your student's cell phone number? JD, why are they asking me that question? I have a conspiracy theory for that. If a college calls, emails, or writes a letter to your student and asks financial numbers, please instruct your student to say, I don't know, or 0. Another supplemental question that some colleges are asking on the CSS profile is, what's the make, model, and year of your vehicles? JD, why are they asking me that question? Because if you claim that you're driving a 2026 Bentley and you are driving and so you have a 2026 Bentley and your adjusted gross income is $50,000, they're going to ask questions because that income and that car don't match. And they're going to ask more and more questions. Every college is going to require the FAFSA form. Some colleges are going to require the FAFSA and the CSS profile. So we want to find out beforehand which of these forms or both does the college require, and you want to make sure that those get submitted way before deadlines. And I've had some conversations with some families that they've said our income is too high. We're not going to qualify for any need-based financial aid. So why should we even fill out those forms? It's another way to demonstrate interest, and demonstrating interest is critical. I had a conversation with another family that hired us. Um, so here's John's story. When John's dad hired us, we helped John figure out which career to go into, how to properly promote himself to colleges. We helped him with his application, with his essay, and all that stuff. And he applied to um, several colleges, and I don't remember which one it was. It was either Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., or George Washington University, also in the D.C. area. I can't remember which one of those two colleges it was. And those colleges are predominantly need-based aid only schools. What that means is a need-based aid only college. What that means is if your student is admitted to that college and that college determines that um, your your family does not qualify for financial need based on the college's formula, then it will be expensive or you're paying full price to go to that college. So John's dad says to me, "We make too much money to qualify. I don't want to fill out those forms. We're not going to get anything." And I encouraged him, "Please, let's play the game and submit these forms." And we assisted them with filling out and submitting these forms. Now, just a little background on John and his dad. John's dad, his adjusted gross income was $1.5 million. He had $5 million in his checking account. He had another $10 million in a brokerage account. He owned several million-dollar homes free and clear, just a very wealthy family. And based on those numbers and that data, this family is not going to qualify for need-based aid at any college. And I encouraged him, please, let's play the game, let's submit it. Well, this college looked at John and said, yes, we like this student. We want this student to attend our college. And then they looked at dad and they're like, whoa, dad might be a future donor. So they were willing to kick back some scholarships to John, and they ended up giving him a half scholarship of about $25,000 to $30,000 per year for him to go to that college. Wait for it. The number one way to get more money from a college is apply to 6 to 15 colleges and negotiate. The thought is to apply to some reach schools, some target schools, some safety colleges, and that. If a student applies to a reach college and is admitted, then that student will probably have to pay full price, or it will be extremely expensive for that student to go to that college. I always encourage students to apply to 6 to 15 colleges. The worst thing that any student can do is apply to one college, because if they apply to one college and they are admitted to that one college, what else does that one college have to do to get that student to choose to go to their college? Nothing. Now, if that a college has to compete with 3 or 4 or 5 or more colleges, then that one college must offer some form of incentive. And the incentives that we want are scholarships. So here's Danielle's story. When Danielle and her parents came into the office, it was Danielle's um, sophomore year of high school, and they hired us to help her with this process. And I asked the question, did you have you visited any colleges yet? And she and her dad said, no, we haven't visited any colleges. And then dad says, oh, we're going down to Tucson for a family vacation. While we're there, why don't we go visit U of A? I'm like, yes, go do that. Well, they did do that. I don't know who the tour guide was at that time, but they showed Danielle and her parents around the campus, and Danielle was very impressed. And she came back and we talked about it in one of our meetings. And she said, I'm going to apply to U of A. That's the only college I want to go to. That's the only one I'm going to apply to. And I encouraged her and I begged and said, please apply to more than one college. And she agreed. I don't remember how many colleges she applied to, 6 or 7 or maybe 8 colleges. We knew that she was going to get admitted to U of A. She had the grades and everything. We knew that. And she was admitted to U of A, and her original award package to go to U of A was 0. You want to come here? It's full price. And it's not unusual for certain colleges, for specific colleges, to lowball the initial scholarship offering. That is not unusual. And U of A is one of those colleges that typically does lowball. Well, Dad called me up and said, she was admitted to U of A. We didn't get any scholarships. I don't want to pay full price. What do I do? And I asked, well, what other colleges was she admitted to? And oh, she was admitted to this college and she was admitted to NAU, and NAU gave her some scholarship money. I said, great. Take the NAU award letter, go down to U of A and say, NAU gave me this. What can you guys do? Not only did not only did U of A beat NAU's award letter, they gave her more scholarships than NAU did. They also gave Danielle an iPad. Danielle was really excited about the iPad. Dad was more excited about the scholarships. So apply to multiple colleges and then pit one college against another. If you ask the college if they will negotiate, they will flat out tell you, no, we don't. Here's another quick little story about another student. She was admitted to ASU, and she got an okay award letter from ASU, some dollars in scholarships to go to that school. And Dad had remembered I said you can negotiate with a college and appeal with the college's aid offering. And this particular dad, he wrote an email to ASU and said, hey, this other college gave us some money. Can you match or beat it? And he got a reply back, sorry, we don't negotiate. And he called me on the phone and said, and was telling me all this. I'm asking, well, what'd you do? I sent an email to the general admissions department. I'm like, oh, that's the first error. We want to send it to a specific person. So we looked up who to send it to. We sent it to the admissions director and the financial aid director, and we crafted a better letter and explained our appeal. And we got a very nice email back from the admissions director that said, sorry, we don't negotiate. Well, what Dad did a couple weeks later was he logged on to his daughter's student portal to check the status and noticed that there was an extra $2,000 in there. So our appeal process did work, even though they tell us no. Here's a few examples of our results. McConnell applied to 9 colleges. He was admitted to all of them. We showed him how to promote himself to colleges, what essays to write, all that stuff. And he got a great scholarship package from multiple colleges. And NYU wanted him the most and gave him the most advantageous scholarship package. And he was offered $65,820 in scholarships per year. Parents' net cost $8,914. So McConnell is an example of a student who did the work, was coachable, and followed through and got these amazing results. If we multiply that times 4 years, $280 over the course of 4 years. That is an amazing scholarship package. Here's an example of Rohit. And I love to ask this question. And that question is, what is good? Good is being admitted to the college. What's better than good? Getting a scholarship. What's better than getting a scholarship from a college? Getting a full tuition scholarship. When you talk to your friends and other parents, and they told you that their kid got a full ride at ASU or any other state college, be very skeptical. What they probably got was full tuition scholarship. And the tuition at ASU, Arizona State University, is the tuition there is $12,000 per year. And if we subtract the 36,000, we still got a $24,000 gap. Where is that money going to come from? What's better than getting a full tuition scholarship? Of course, getting the coveted full ride. And when a student wins the full ride scholarship, what parents are going to pay is transportation and maybe pizza money on a Saturday or something like that. So transportation from home to the college, airline ticket or gas money or a bus fare or a train ride or something like that. What is better, best? What is better than getting the coveted full ride? And here's my example here. And I'll read it to you. All tuition and mandatory fees for 4 years, 8 semesters, $4,000 per semester, cash stipend, $1,500 per semester on-campus housing stipend, up to $6,000 one-time award for international study abroad. So when you add all that together, uh, all all those things that they were offering the student, he was netting $3,000 per year. What's better than getting the coveted full ride? Getting paid to go to college. And yes, that does happen. If that's something that your student is interested in and aspiring for, um, please let me know, and I'll be happy to schedule a free, no obligation college consultation where we can talk about these strategies and more. Here's another example. Nicole was admitted to WashU, and we did some things strategically so she would qualify for the most need-based aid. The end of the story is $45,465 in scholarships per year. Parents' net cost 11 grand. Multiply that times 4 years, $181,860 in scholarships over 4 years. Nicole's another example of a student who did the work, was coachable, and followed through on our suggestions, and she got these amazing results. Here's another example. $51,000 in scholarships is what Bruce earned per year to attend Notre Dame. And dad's net cost was $13,000. Dad told me later, Bruce's dad told me later that he thought my tagline, "It could be cheaper to go to an out-of-state college than attend an in-state college," was just a sales pitch until we did it for his son. And then we did it again for his daughter. So $51,000 times 4 years is $204,064 over the course of 4 years. Bruce is another example of a student who did the work, was coachable, followed through, and got these amazing results. And here is Bruce's sister, Adele. She went to TCU, $216,000 in scholarships per year, a little bit better than her brother did. And again, she was coachable, followed through, and got these amazing results. But JD, are all of these students super brainiacs and all have 4.0 GPAs and all have 1,600 SAT scores or 36 ACT scores, perfect SAT, perfect ACT scores? No. Here's another example, and this is Elle. She applied to Spring Hill College in Alabama. And after everything was done, it was less expensive for her to go to this college than it was for her to go in-state. And she had a 2.3 GPA. She got a little bit of scholarship money for her GPA. She also got some additional scholarship money for leadership and community service and a couple other things that this college valued, that she showed, yes, I am in those categories that you value. She put check marks in all of those boxes, and this college looked at her and said, yes, we need this type of student because this student will have a positive impact on our rankings, and we will give you this amazing scholarship package for that. So you don't have to have perfect grades or perfect test scores. You just need to target the right colleges. And this is where we at azcollegeplanning.com can help with that. JD, what about military academies? Yes, we can help out with military academies. I love this story about Tanner. When Tanner came into the office, he says, my dream is to fly jets for the Air Force, and I'm going to only apply to the Air Force Academy. And I said, please apply to all the military academies and every ROTC program and have a backup plan. And he agreed to all that. A little while later, he scheduled a meeting with us and we were talking. And he says, JD, I've been doing some research on the Air Force's website, and the minimum ACT score is 24. I got a 25. What do you think? And I said, they're going to take your application and throw it in the trash because you're just barely above the minimum. So we plugged him into our program, Beat the Test, and our Beat the Test program. And the Beat the Test program, we talk about strategies on how to beat the test. And so we instructed him on that. And the end of the story is he got a 29, amazing, on his ACT score, got admitted to the Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York. And upon graduation, they said, where do you want to go? What assignment would you like? And he says, I want to fly jets for the Air Force. And is flying jets for the Air Force. Here's Jonathan's story. Jonathan applied to a handful of colleges, got admitted to a bunch of them, and it really came down to George Fox University, which is in the Portland, Oregon area. And that college kind of rose to the top as a good college for Jonathan, was a good fit for him, and offered him a good scholarship package, and also had the major and the programs he wanted to study in college. Well, Jonathan and his parents and I were having a roundtable conversation, and his parents said, we are willing to spend some money. We're willing to spend X dollars on you to go to college. Anything above that, that's going to be on you, Jonathan. Scholarships, grants, loans, work study, whatever else, that's going to be on you. And after all the scholarships and grants that were offered by this college to Jonathan and what Jonathan's parents were willing to spend, we were $5,000 short. And Jonathan says, I've got a great idea. What if I call the college and defer admission? Yes, you could do that. And what defer admission means is you fill out the appropriate form, and the college will defer your enrollment for 1 year. They'll hold your spot for 1 year, and then you can attend that college 1 year later. So Jonathan says, I'll defer admission, and then I'll go get a job, and I'll save up $5,000. And I'm like, what are you going to do? Work a year, go to school a year, work a year, go to school for a year, leapfrog it, and then take 8 years to graduate? No, 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 no. Jonathan, here's what I would like you to do. I'd like you to call, don't email, call your admission representative at George Fox and say that you know who your admission representative is at George Fox, Jonathan, do you? Now I'm asking him loaded questions because we had already instructed him on how to find who his recruiter admissions contact was. He says, oh, Jonathan says, oh, yes, I know who that is. I said, call them on the phone, and I want you to say this. Thank you very much for admitting me. Thank you for the scholarships that you have offered. My parents are willing to spend X dollars for me to go to college. And from the scholarships that you've offered, again, thank you. Plus what my parents are willing to spend, I'm $5,000 short. What can we do? And poof, magically, another $5,000 appeared, and Jonathan graduated in 4 years, not 8. Cole went to La Tech. He got 100% of tuition plus a little bit extra. Chad went to Vandy, $231,088 in scholarships over the course of 4 years. When I was talking with Chad and his mom, I made the suggestion you should consider applying to Vanderbilt because you've got the package, you've got what they want. And mom pulls me aside and says, don't encourage him to apply to Vandy. Yes, he'll probably get in, but we can't afford it. I said, play the game. End of the story is mom and dad's net cost for Chad to go to Vandy was $5,000 per year. I got a very nice email from Chad's mom after that, and you can see that on the testimonials page on my website, azcollegeplan.com. Here's another example of a student who did the work, was coachable, followed through, and got these amazing results. Trevor went to TCU, $212,000 in scholarships over the course of 4 years. He graduated 100% debt free. Again, that's where we want our students to start their life. What I'm really excited about this particular student is not only did he graduate debt free, but he used the Career Center at this college to help him get internships, which led to a career and a profession in banking finance, and landed a really great job in Denver, Colorado, with a financial entity in that area, and is making some really good money. Here's another example of a student who did the work, was coachable, followed through, and got the results. Um, and this is an example of an in-state student. And this particular student went to NAU. He graduated 100% debt-free. We can help with in-state colleges. We can help with out-of-state colleges. We can help with private colleges. We have placed students at literally thousands of different colleges. And again, this student graduated 100% debt-free, no student loan debt. This is exactly where we want our kids to be when they graduate. Zero debt or as low as possible. And again, I have literally hundreds and hundreds of these examples. Jared was admitted to Illinois Institute of Technology, $39,000 in scholarships over 4 years. 4 years, $159,000. It was less expensive for him to go to that college than to go in-state. Loyola Chicago, we appealed with this college and they said yes and gave us an extra $2,000 per year. 2, 4, 6, $8,000. That's pretty good. $8,000 to write one letter. Yeah, that's amazing. I want to help tell your students' college success story. And this is how we're going to do it. The services that we provide through azcollegeplanning.com is one-on-one student meetings. We're not going to farm your kid out to some third party, who knows where they are. We're gonna deal with it all in-house. We're going to help by offering personalized one-on-one meetings with compassionate guidance and motivating support that keeps your student on track and confident in their college journey. We'll also have several parent meetings, and then we host a variety of different classes. I already mentioned the Beat the Test class. We have a How to Study class, the Influencer and Promotion class, Resume Building class, Essay class, and parent classes, and more. If you would like to come in for a free, complimentary, no obligation college consultation, please click on the link or send me an email, jd@azcollegeplanning.com. Include your daytime phone number that you can be reached at, and we'll compare our calendars and put something on the calendar. And when you come in, and the meetings can be either at our office in Scottsdale, or they can be virtual meetings, whatever works best for you. When you come in and we're evaluating the situation on how we can help you, if we cannot help you, we will be very frank and say, I'm sorry, we can't help you, and we'll point you in the right direction. If we say, yes, we can help you, then rest assured we're going to do some really great things, and your student's going to get $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $80,000 in scholarships. And some of the examples that I showed you, $200,000 in scholarships over the course of 4 years. That is our goal, is to help your student achieve those amazing results so they can graduate on time in 4 years or less with a viable degree that your student can immediately go get a job and be a productive member of society and graduate with zero or as little student loan debt as possible. That is our end game goal. Here's another example. I'll read the text message I got from Noah. I got into Georgia Tech. Thank you. I got into Georgia Tech. Thank you for the 10-week plan you gave me. It helped me get into my dream school, which means a ton. I'll be attending Georgia Tech in the fall, and I got $32,000 a year in scholarships. It was the best aid offer I got outside of ASU. So these are the types of results that we like, and we want your student to earn and achieve. You only get one shot at this, getting college right. Don't leave it to chance. We are the nation's leading experts in admission and financial aid and guiding families with proven results since 2007. If you would like to explore how we can make a real measurable difference with college admission and college scholarships, please send me an email at jd@azcollegeplanning.com. Include your name, a daytime phone number, and your student's high school graduation year, and I'll reach out to you to schedule that free, no obligation college consultation and show you how we can make a serious positive impact on admission and scholarships. Again, if you'd like that free, no obligation college consultation, send me an email or click on the link. Email jd@azcollegeplanning.com. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening, and I'm very excited about assisting you and your student on this college adventure.